As many of you have no doubt heard, Diablo III Reaper of Souls now has a new class, the Necromancer, along with a few other interesting but not overwhelming content updates. Blizzard was gracious enough to send us a code so we could check out the new improvements and see how the Necromancer played versus the other Diablo III classes, as well as versus the Diablo II Necromancer, which I have so fond memories of. It didn't take long to get to level 70 and really start gearing and tearing, so let's try to answer some of the questions that have been raised about this new class. So the first question is, how does the Necromancer play versus other classes? Well, luckily, we have a level 70 character of every class in the game, so we're able to give a more fine impression than perhaps some people have only played a few other classes. The Necromancer feels a bit like a combination of the Witch Doctor and the Barbarian Crusader. Let us explain. For starters, the Necromancer has a ton of minions, just like the Witch Doctor, and between the two, you can almost completely cover the screen in minions. Some differences here are that the Necromancer can control his minions to a limited degree, whereas the Witch Doctor cannot. The Necromancer's minions also auto-summon simply by having the ability equipped, which is not the case with the Witch Doctor, as they need to use mana to summon them. If you wish to play a pure summoner, Necromancer is definitely the superior of the two classes. The Necromancer also, like the Barbarian and Crusader, can increase their Thorns damage by a wickedly high percentage, 200%, with a passive ability, and also buff their defense with bone armor, making for a tanky variation of the class to be played. Also, unlike the Witch Doctor, Necromancers build essence with their attacks, similar to Wrath Fury, and this only generates from attacking with the primary attack abilities, and don't replenish the way mana do. The primary objective with the Necromancer is to get that first kill or two, and then use corpses to obliterate your foes with deadly corpse abilities, such as Corpse Explosion, or simply reanimate the corpses into minions that fight for you. There's usually an abundance of corpses on the screen, so this is not difficult to do. However, having more than one Necromancer in the group tends to be redundant, as they will be vying for corpses with another, which is something that can be really frustrating, especially if one Necromancer uses the Devouring Aura rune of the Devour ability, causing them to automatically consume nearby corpses in exchange for endless essence. So, how does the Necromancer in Diablo III play versus the Diablo II Necromancer? Well, that's an excellent question. Anyone who's played both games will note immediately the flexibility of Diablo III's character creation, by allowing players to change their builds at will versus Diablo II's permanent choices. Initially, this was something we really disliked about Diablo III, but as we've grown older and more casual, it's become a feature we really like. As a Necromancer in Diablo II, you pretty much had to specialize in curses, minion master, and others, but in Diablo III, you're really all these things at once. Blizzard has made it quite simple to do really, by making your skeletons and golems automatically resummon upon their deaths, so that you can concentrate on casting curses and dealing damage with corpse abilities or bone spear. And if you want to become more of a minion master, you can simply slot some more summoning abilities that allow you to replace active abilities, allowing the player to really customize just how much they'd like to summon versus how much they'd like to attack. In short, you can find your sweet spot for the type of Necromancer you'd like to play and play it your way. Overall, the Necromancer in Diablo II seemed a touch more satisfying than Diablo III, at least as a minion master. I'm not sure if that's because there simply weren't as many enemies on the screen as there are in Diablo III, so you felt way more badass with the army or what, but Diablo III is not very far behind nevertheless. I certainly don't regret playing it, and since my Witch Doctor is my main, I felt right at home slaying and reviving the Fallen into an ever-growing army that surpassed my fetishes. In-game fetishes, we mean. So, how much new content is there? Sadly, the content is very short, and didn't take but an hour to complete, if that. There are 2 new areas to explore, with 1 new boss battle, but neither are large, although one of the areas is the best looking visually in the entire game, and has a very Lovecraftian vibe. There are new rifts called Challenge Rifts that allow the player to attempt rifts for rewards by playing as other players with their exact gear, skills, and Paragon ranks. Some players may enjoy these, but personally, we'd rather play with our own character than someone else's. It's a nice novelty, but nothing amazing. All of these come free with the update anyway, even if you don't purchase the class. For $14.99, getting a new class is absolutely worth it, if you can stomach playing through the entire game again. Since this was my 7th character, and Fex and I power leveled each other's characters through much of the game in order to platinum it, I can honestly say that it would have been more fun had we not already played the shit out of the game. That said, We still had a blast fighting over corpses as we fought our way to hell, heaven, and beyond for the umpteenth time, and we can see ourselves spending another week or two running some rifts, seeing just how powerful we can make them. If you were looking for a reason to get back into Diablo 3 after months or years away, this would be a great time to do it.